Sankore is a stunningly produced game by Osprey Games. It looks just incredible. And it is about setting up and developing a university in Timbuktu in the Middle Ages. So you will create curricula for your students, you will invite professors, you will collect books, and you will have your students take classes. Now, I play games also for escapism, and that's basically my job, so this was a little strange to me. I'm just kidding. There are things in this game like traveling across the desert, using the stars to trade golds for salt, which in turn attract professors. That is not something I'm familiar with, but I'm happy that I learned about it in this game. You're gonna have area majority, tableau building, action selection, and more area majority. There is a lot of area majority in this game. Each player will have a personal double board, such as this one. Here you keep track of resources that you collect, such as books. I told you that this game has amazing components, and so just look at the books of the four different disciplines: mathematics, theology, astronomy, and law. There we go. Come on, law. I want to show how pretty you are. Then each discipline also has prestige tokens that we will collect during the game, and when we collect them, we place them in this area. Here, our personal board. Speaking of components, also you have the students who are represented by these partially painted meeples. Again, everything just looks super nice and neat. So we collect prestige tokens, and they will be worth points at the end of the game. But how many points is worth each token? Did I tell you there's a lot of area majority? Basically, the value of the prestige tokens that we collect is based on an area majority mini game played on this other board outside of on the side of the main board. There will be several actions during the game that will place books on these shelves. You place them from left to right. There are 3 separate shelves. And at the end of the game, we're gonna see how many points each discipline is worth. For having the most books on a shelf for a certain discipline is worth 2 points. Being second in majority is worth 1 point. So right now, blue astronomy is worth 3 points because it is first on one shelf, giving it 2 points, and second on another shelf, giving it 1 point, 3 points. Oh, just happy that I did have one there. So that's the idea. At the end of the game, you will multiply the prestige tokens that you collected. They can also come from other sources, not just those wooden tokens there. By the value, you multiply what you have by the value of each discipline. Player with the highest score wins the game. The place where you place your tokens may receive these tokens here, which simply block those spaces. These are called favor tokens. So when you take the action of exchanging favors and you decide to take a favor, then you receive a benefit, but you need to place one of these tokens there. You can also take the action of exchanging favors to remove one of these, creating more space for your prestige tokens. Here we have supply areas where we have walls, tents, crowns, and mosques. They represent different disciplines. When you take an action in a specific discipline, say in theology, you remove the lowest of these buildings and you place it on the board, revealing another number there. And so as you can see, the numbers go up to 4, and the ones on top don't have numbers on them. Why is this important? Because the value of each action, I mean, this is a university. Its knowledge is both a mix of what you know and what the collective knowledge of the discipline is. The game represents that very well because, for example, if you're taking an action in mathematics, and suppose this is the situation, the power of your action is the highest number that is visible, in this case 2, plus the highest number that is visible on this element, on this template that goes on the board. And this is also where you place the students before they're enrolled. So if two students have been enrolled in mathematics and I have the 2 visible there, right now the power of mathematics for me is 3 plus 2. Maybe for another player it is 3 plus 0 or 3 plus 4. So I like that. I like the combination between shared knowledge and individual understanding of each discipline, which increases the power of your things, of your actions. Now, this is where you will place the advanced classes that form your curriculum. You start with 4 basic classes on the board and also start with a student and with a book. And suppose that that's the book that starts in my supply. And I put it there in my display. So, during the game, you will acquire tiles that represent advanced classes. There's a supply there, and they are in 3 levels. So these ones can go anywhere on the little pyramid of knowledge that you have. These ones can only go in the 2 top levels, and the 4 on top can only go on the top of the pyramid. These are the same. These are the same, so you just shuffle them and then you make a stack face up and then you draw 1. So for each type, say theology, anywhere on the pyramid of knowledge, and the same for here. Then for each type you have 2 available. And during the game you will perform actions that will give you those classes, and say for example I decide to place that one there and maybe this one here, and so on and so forth. And that's how I'll form my pyramid. And my students will take classes by walking up the pyramid following the arrows that you see there. Now, any student can take any kind of class, which is awesome. I love the flexibility for the students to wander and discover new things. But there is a bonus if a student in a certain discipline takes classes in their discipline. So as an action during your turn, you could have a student take a class. To do so, there needs to be a class in front of them, and there needs to be an arrow coming out of that class and pointing to an empty space. Suppose as an action I decide to take the student and have it take that class. Now each discipline, here we're talking about mathematics, has a section here on the side where actions from other disciplines may have given you tiles that you place there with different kinds of bonuses and advantages. So when I take a certain class, if there are bonus tiles there of that class or the type of class, I immediately receive those bonuses. Then, if the student matches the discipline math for math, and this would be the case, then I also get that other advantage there. That advantage, for example, is to advance on the favor track. Remember the action of exchanging favors? You will get more options of what kind of benefit to collect with that one, the more you advance on a track which is on the board. After that, you will perform the corresponding action, so I will interact with the mathematics space on the board, and then finally my little meeple goes there. And again, just to clarify all the steps that happen when a student is taking a class, first, if there is a bonus in that discipline, the bonus start from here. If there is a bonus in that discipline, sorry, the bonus thing only starts with the advanced classes here. So we're gonna do it again. That's fine. Booyah, there. If there is a bonus in if you take a class, there's a bonus in the discipline based on those tiles, you take it. Then if the student matches the discipline, you collect that bonus. Here would be collect a gold, collect a salt, and then go to the other spot. And so that's how students go up the tree. Like so. Now, certain effects, and after you do that, of course, you interact with the space, with the action. Here, interact with math, here, interact with astronomy, and so on and so forth. And there are basically 4 different mini games there. Some actions, when you actually perform them on the board, for you to perform the class needs to be supported. That means that as you're taking a class, there's another student in the waiting list right there. That is, there need to be 2 students under the class before you take the action. I mean, you can take the action, but certain benefits, certain kinds of actions can only be obtained that way. So, action selection. Each turn you will have 2 actions, and you must take 2 different actions if you can. And the main actions include enrolling a student. You know what? Maybe it is time to take a look at the board. It's beautiful, and it takes a long time to set up, a really long time, because you gotta shuffle together certain components, randomize them, so some then you extract them from the bag, and then some you have to then reorganize them again, separate them after you mix them up. They need to be placed in a very specific way with a balance of random things and things that need to go in specific spots. Takes a while. But I hope you'll agree that the result really does look amazing. So, one possible action you take during the turn, as we said, is to enroll a student. You see those templates I showed you one. These are the templates where you take your students and you choose one of the ones available. You always take the rightmost, which increases the general knowledge in the discipline. By removing things, we also unlock certain specific things. We also may unlock benefits. Other thing that we unlock is this token goes to a specific space. I'm not even gonna tell you what that does. It's just complicated. I'm not teaching you the game. But what I want to point out is that by removing students, we trigger majority tests. So in this case, for example, we check who has the majority in each area of the board associated with this template. So each area, there are 4: astronomy, theology, math, and law. Each area is divided into 4 smaller areas. You see astronomy, 1, 2, 3, 4. Theology is pretty obvious, 4. And each of the 4 areas are associated with a bonus book and a bonus prestige tile. So when we remove a certain meeple from there, we trigger, say here, the majority check. So we see who has majority in each area, and whoever has majority takes the corresponding books. Later, we may get to unlock the other test, the other majority test, which again, we check for majority, but this time whoever has majority takes the corresponding prestige token. Very powerful thing. So that's what you do. That's how you enroll students, and also the kind of effects that you trigger when you enroll students. Another action you can take, you establish an advanced class. That is when you pay a book from your supply, put it in the library, so you're also trying to influence that, and then you take an advanced tile and you place it in your tableau. What is probably going to be the most important action, again, is to take a class. Remember, boom, boom, do all those bonuses, then actually take the action. And what are the actions? Well, they will be to place stuff in the corresponding area from the board. In this area here, you check your power of the action, and then you move in this area here for astronomy, because the stars are guiding you, you use your camel, you can move a certain number of spaces up to the power of that, and where you stop you can place down a camp, pay a gold to collect 2 salt. There are also bonuses that you can play if you're the first person to cross a line associated with that bonus. And to go to a city, again, you need to have enough power to travel there, plus the action needs to be supported. You remember what I told you? Some actions you need to have 2 meeples underneath. That would be a case of that. Theology, you put down mosques. You place mosques there. Theology gives you books, and you have to pay a cost, which is usually in salt. And the higher you go, the better the benefit. And so this is an example again of how you're taking classes to place down mosques, to collect books, but also to establish your majority, because when the test comes here, well, whoever has the most pieces in a certain area will get to collect the corresponding book or the corresponding prestige token, depending on the kind of test that it is. The madrasa here is where we're building the walls around our awesome university, and we're putting down pieces representing the walls. And then you collect all the gold facing the line where you just place it, the line or the column where you just place it. And also you collect, you can choose one of these benefits, collect the benefit, and then turn it face down. Different kind of events will place tokens in this area, and we're gonna cover those tokens in order numerically, and this is also a timer for the game. The game will be over when the last token is placed there in our madrasa. And again, 4 area majorities this time, looking at the way we're facing there. And finally, the law. Remember, there are gonna be certain game effects that place things here in the law. It's called the overflow, including when you trigger certain things from those checks there. You put them there in the overflow. The action of placing a game piece in the game piece in the law, again, they'll give you those tokens that you can place, those tokens that make your actions more powerful. You collect other benefits, such as these tokens that are placed in the madrasa, and also the first player to place a crown on the top of an area gets to collect the overflow game pieces that have been placed there. And again, these are 4 areas where you're fighting for majority when the tests arrive to check who has the majority for books, who has the majority and collects books, and later who has the majority and collects prestige points. There's a lot going on. Matter of fact, I only explained part of the rules, but I hope at least I gave you the general idea. Perform 2 actions. Enroll students, build your classes, collect resources, place these game pieces on the board to establish majority in basically 16 different areas. Oh yeah, from time to time you can graduate your students and collect these tokens. At the end of the game, however, collect points from the prestige tokens that you have, whose value is determined by this other area majority mini game. They're played on the bookshelf, and the highest score wins the game. And this is the general idea behind Sankore, the Pride of Mansa Musa. Sankore is a beast. I think you have seen that from the number of components, how complex and visually intricate setup is, and then the rules. So I gave you just an overview. I didn't tell you how one thing leads to another. Certain areas will have effects that are refracted into another. I didn't tell you about the objective cards that if you complete you'll get a bonus, and those are very powerful, so probably people will want to try to complete them early on. There is a lot going on. There's also a solo version with different scholars that are automated scholars, and you can try to to defeat them playing basically 2-player. Well, you play 1 player and you go against one of those scholars. Their abilities and their displays printed on the back of the displays that you use in multiplayer, and they represent different scholars with different levels of challenge. And the mechanism is fairly intuitive, and it flows very well once you figure out a couple of basic things, including the strange thing that the gameplay for the solo, for the bot, is divided into 3 phases. So it's not like flip a card and do what it says. You don't do the same thing 17 times. First there is like 4 turns, and then 5 more turns, and then 7 more turns. But these blocks work slightly differently. But again, it's not too bad. Incidentally, you will place some scholars, some students in the bag, and draw them to define what the scholar does. And the students that are placed there, of course, represent the main areas of agency of the bot. And so you can take that information into account, only I don't. I forget about it, and I just fight completely blindly. So I played it multiplayer, but 2 players, and then 2 player solo, two solo with the bot. And I enjoyed both times, but again, it's a tough it's tough to get started with this beast. And I don't know that I would want to play it with more than 2 players really, because it flows well that way. But it is a puzzle. It is a really tight puzzle, which is satisfying to chew, to digest, to work on. I don't think it would be all that satisfied if I spent a lot of time waiting for other people to enjoy their puzzle. And it can be pretty punishing if you make a mistake, because then you get stuck with your tableau that doesn't have the right icons or the right students, or the students are creating a traffic jam and you can't go wherever you want. You can spend inspiration tokens to move them more creatively, but what if you don't have one? So, planning ahead, creating an engine and operating it is absolutely exciting, and it's intellectually rewarding, but I think the downtime can be significant. And again, people should have the right to take as much time as they want, seeing how a couple of mistakes can have a long-term effect. So I'm worried about downtime with more players, but if you decide to play it that way, you let me know how it goes. But again, the engine, the puzzle, the chaining of the effects. You travel to collect salt, and that attracts scholars somehow. And those professors write the books, and so you can teach more classes, and then you can build the with the books you can build the walls of the madrasa. And so those 3 areas, the astronomy, the theology, and the mathematics, are sort of like a circle. And then law, it's its own thing, because stuff that is not used right away goes there, and they can be very powerful if you get to collect stuff that has been placed there that overflew there from other areas. Overflowed. Also, some of those tokens can be very powerful, but may also not be. It can be a bit situational. One thing that does seem strange, and I still have some reservations about, is you do a lot of things to collect those prestige tokens. And say to get 5 of a kind takes a lot of work, a lot of action, chaining off many things. But then they may be worth very little, depending on how the books are placed on the shelf, because there's that other area majority mini game there. And I wonder if the weight of that in terms of gameplay is excessive, because if you get, say, a card, a special effect that allows you to manipulate that may just give value to just a few tokens that you collected, and may bump down the value of a lot of tokens that an opponent collected. It seems to me that multiplying element in some cases may have a pretty substantial effect. I guess if you are playing with new players, make them aware that their 5 prestige tokens, their 10 prestige tokens are worth very little unless the shelf is correctly set up. But then I almost wonder, is that the case? Is it that the main game really is about the shelf more than those other things? I'm not sure. I know that there were times in which I thought that creating the tree with the classes and moving the scholars was really, really fun. It could almost support its own game. I think you could have maybe like a version, maybe Sankore Express, Osprey, hear me out, which massively simplifies the board and places the emphasis just on that. I thought that was like really cool and interesting enough. And all the other stuff was pleasant and interesting. But I almost felt that I was having such a good time sequencing the actions on the on my university, on my class plan, basically, that maybe I thought some of the other stuff could have been simplified. Overall, this is a demanding game for the thinking gamer. It has complexity, it has wheels within wheels, very interesting if demanding chains and trees of decision. It looks stunning because it's an amazing production. So a lot of things to like, but also I don't think this is a universal pleaser because again, it takes a certain kind of gamer with a certain type of commitment to be able to enjoy Sankore.